Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a new segment that we're going to be introducing to the congregation. I'm Megan Coleman Sykes with Rabbi Katz. Great to see you, Rabbi.
It's nice to be here.
So we are going to call this the time we have with Rabbi Katz, and it's going to be fun at times. It might be thought-provoking at other times. It might be a little funny or silly on occasion too. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with it, and hopefully we can connect folks to the congregation and all the wonderful things that are happening. So first and foremost, welcome to Syracuse. How has your time been here so far?
It has been great. I'm originally from Rochester, so it's in the same neighborhood, and it's really lovely. People are great. We found a nice place to be, and the temple is really wonderful.
What have been your impressions of our congregation so far?
I get the impression that people are smart, kind, well-intentioned, wanting to do their best, and very, very connected to the synagogue and its history. So it's been a real pleasure.
And you joined us at a really pivotal moment for us when we have a lot of things sort of balls up in the air, a lot of transitions that are happening. What led you to us here in Syracuse? We picked you, but why did you pick us?
Well, it's sort of like on a blind date asking, will you marry me? I tell you, you get to know a congregation more and more after you've been there. But I was interested in the history of the congregation, which is storied, the neighborhood that it's in, and the challenges were particularly attractive to me as an interim rabbi, because it meant that together we would try to figure out the future. And visioning is something that I like. I like to partner with the leaders of a congregation, with its membership, and ask, what could we be?
And you have spent much of your career crisscrossing the country and serving in this interim rabbi role. What sparked your interest in serving as an interim over all these years?
In essence, I'm an analyst. When there is a problem, a challenge, it is a jigsaw puzzle, and putting the pieces together and making a beautiful picture in the end is what somebody who analyzes does. It's also helping a congregation from experience, expertise, the special background and training that interim rabbis go through in order to meet those challenges. It's about politics, personalities, of the cultural history of the congregation and the surrounding areas. It's about the goals and aspirations of a place, and putting it all together and making something beautiful happen is what attracts me to the role that I'm playing now.
And for those who are not familiar, what is the difference between an interim rabbi and a settled or permanent rabbi?
In one respect, well, I should say in many respects, it's the exact same. An interim rabbi does serve as the rabbi, life cycle events, leading services, teaching, doing all the things that the long-term rabbi would be doing. But the interim rabbi is in a special place because there is a time frame and there are goals to be met. And every congregation has different challenges to meet. And so in one respect, it's the same, but it's the extra attention and these unique goals that make it different. And the time frame also is limited.
And you talk about the challenges, and certainly there are many as we talk about introducing you to the congregation. We have a new rabbi. We're talking about moving, selling our historic building. But I personally like to be an optimist and look at those challenges as opportunities. And I'm wondering if you might too, and what sort of opportunities you might see for us in the future.
That's really a great question, because some people will look and say, well, let's do the thing that we've always been doing and doing it better. Businesses often do that, but they want to be safe and just improve what is there. But we live in a different world now. I mean, if one thing the pandemic has taught us is that our social interactions can be meaningful but really different. There's the media that we use. In a Torah study class, for instance, we could have guest teachers from around the world, right? And there have been experiments around the country. There have been brick and mortar stores have been going under. Amazon is big, right? And the fact of the matter is, most synagogues have in the past been thinking about brick and mortar. They've been thinking about the upkeep of the building. And this is at the center of our challenge too. Now that we will be moving out of our building. So the question really is, what is the synagogue of the future? How is it going to be defined, described? And do we want to ask ourselves if we want to move into that realm? Not what we've always done, but the thing that is coming for everybody.
Mm. So let's talk a little bit about your background. We know that you have spent much of your career as a rabbi, but it didn't begin that way. Certainly not when you were in college. Tell us a little bit about your background in theater.
Yeah. Well, I had actually been very interested from a long time ago in creating a Jewish theater company that could teach, teaching both to the mind and to the heart. And that's what theater can do, actually, right? Or the movies, or that realm of art. So I actually set myself on a course at one point in my life to get a great background in theater, a bachelor's and a master's, and then a good background in education, another master's degree, and then become a rabbi. In order to give myself the very best background in being, creating the most effective communications to bring Jews from the world of culture for many to the world of the spiritual. And so it has served me well, let me tell you, in terms of the theater background and telling a story and looking into a camera.
Yeah, that's right. You are doing a great job. Did you grow up with a Reform background? Was that part of your childhood?
It was classical Reform. I'm telling you something, it was Brit Kodesh in Rochester, New York, and the rabbis came out in robes, and there was an 8-member choir, and the organ, was there, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might. The old Union prayer book was very much part of my heart now. And so it was classical Reform, but the pendulum swings, and so the Reform movement has swung, and I've swung with it. I'm pretty much at the center of where the Reform movement is now.
Tell me a little bit about your childhood, because oftentimes people might follow in the footsteps of a parent or a grandparent. Did you have people in your life who were rabbis or who were very connected to their religion?
I learned well after the fact, after my grandfather died, that he spoke quite a number of languages, that he came from a long line of scholars and rabbis back in Lithuania and way back. I knew nothing about that growing up, but there was an academic streak in the family. My mom was a professor. My cousin was a dean somewhere. The learning was definitely part of the environment. So that was always there. Actually, even I might not have known it, but it was definitely there.
So there was an article that I came across in the Rochester Beacon from just a couple of years ago about you, and you talk about why liberal denominations fail at attracting and engaging members. Why do you think that is?
Well, that article, I think, was actually, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, actually, that came out of the Beacon. It was, um, I think that congregations make fundamental mistakes. And we take for granted that the way we're doing things is the most effective way. But we call ourselves a family. How many people really know each other? We don't even know why people have joined the temple, might come twice a year, but have their name on the list. We don't know what people's aspirations are, or what their skills and talents are that might contribute to to synagogue life. I think that sometimes it comes down to 40 people who are really, really active, who change positions in a congregation and serve the rest of the community. And so, I question all that, actually. And I wonder if everybody showed up at the temple tomorrow, hundreds of people, and said, I want to do something constructive, if we would be set up to actually have them be productive and help out.
What role do you think a Jewish education plays in helping to keep congregants engaged into adulthood? Like how important is that foundation when you're a child?
I think it's really, really important that children have positive experiences in their religious schools. And that's why education really is sort of at the center of my own rabbinate, whether it's teaching or leading a school. But I think also for the adults, when the children have grown and they've gone through bar bat mitzvah, there are different things that might keep a congregant at the synagogue and not just drop out. It's not just for the kids. It's exciting. And I think for many, it's always like sort of being afraid to walk in and saying, well, I really don't know everything. And I don't want to look like I don't know everything. But every Torah study is an unrehearsed intellectual adventure. And it's a moment where people share. And it's a moment where people are just very open and respond to the greatest text in the world. And so I think that can play a role. It doesn't play a role as much as I think it should, but it's definitely there and can become the center for people.
What are you most looking forward to as you begin your time with us at Temple Concord?
I'm looking forward to forming close relationships with as many congregants as I'm able to. I'm looking forward to brainstorming and asking, how are we going to move through this period of transitioning? Because look at the transitions that we have before us. I'm a new rabbi in the congregation. Then there is the building and what is going to happen. And then if we do move into a new place, what will be the beginnings of the long-term future? And I think all of those are, as you say, they're, a challenge can be like, oh no, or it could be an opportunity. And I'm looking forward to those moments and defining those opportunities.
And as we look ahead to our transition and moving in temporarily with Temple Addith, how do you think we best serve ourselves to maintain our Reform identity and our own congregation's identity, while also embracing this idea that we are one large but small Jewish community here in Central New York?
How do we maintain our identity in a new place? Is that?
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah. How do we do that while also embracing, that there is power in numbers, and all of us from all the temples coming together for, various activities, that can also be very powerful.
Yeah, that's very intriguing, actually, when you think about it. Uh, how can we gain both simultaneously to
Right.
maintain identity and to say we're larger in numbers? What can we do? And to what extent can we partner with ADIF? We're not merging, but we are there together, and that's something to be thought out. Actually, maintaining our identity. I think the moment when friends see each other across the room, I think there's going to be something there for sure, because community is not the building, actually. The building is where the community happens. So I think also that when we go traveling, sometimes we take our stuff with us. Let's just say a picture of a child that we put up in a hotel room, or this or the next thing. And I think we got to think about what we're actually going to bring physically as the thing that we look to and say that reflects our past. And then I think also the extent to which we build and continue to build relationships with one another and to aspire to the goals that we've always had. I think those are some ways that will maintain our identity.
If there was a call to action that you could give each and every one of us as congregants, what would that be?
I would say to be open. Change. People say they want change, all the time. Change is good. Change is good. But people get tense with change. And I think to get everybody on the wavelength of, change can be great. And we're changing ourselves all the time. And we're trying to improve ourselves all the time. And no one would ever say, oh, don't ever go on a vacation, just stay at home. Say, yeah, change of scenery is good. We should think of all the different ways and moments in our lives where we define change as something positive. Every improvement we make with body or mind or whatever it might be, changes actually can be very, very positive, especially if it's thoughtful. And so I would say the charge there is be open, be comfortable, talk about the future, don't lament the past, remember the past, take pride in the past. Yeah. But who knows? The best is very well yet to come.
I like that optimistic tone. Okay, let's do something fun. Are you ready for some rapid fires?
Yeah, I'm ready for rapid fire, but you fire away, okay? Here we go.
Have you ever been to the New York State Fair?
I have never been to the New York State Fair.
And do you plan on going? Or let's say it's a non-COVID world and maybe you're not worried about that. Would you go to the fair?
I would definitely go to the fair. I have passed by the fair. I've seen signs, state fairgrounds, but I definitely.
Okay. If you were not a rabbi, what would your dream job be?
Maybe an architect.
Oh, so not a Broadway star.
No, I don't think so. One time, maybe I was a Broadway star. This is it. And I've had different identities, to be sure, in my life. But I'm interested in space also, cool. Interior and exterior.
Favorite meal?
Favorite meal? Well, I should probably say something Jewish, like matzo balls or something like that. I'm a sucker for a fried chicken dinner. I was a vegan for a year. My wife Nancy, she's a great cook. Whatever she cooks is going to be my favorite.
Okay,
so let that go. Let that go on the air. Okay?
So does she do all the cooking, or do you help?
I help. I help clean up. Actually,
You're on dishwasher duty, right?
I used to cook a lot more when I was a bachelor. So what can I say? She took over. She's much better.
Most memorable vacation you've ever had?
Shooting boomerangs with the Aboriginals in the outback of Australia.
Wow. That sounds fascinating. How old were you, or when did you do that trip?
I was 16, I think 16, yeah.
That sounds amazing. Okay, pastrami or corned beef?
I'm not a red meat eater.
Oh,
I gave up red meat over 40 years ago on my way to become a vegetarian. I never got very far though, but I'm not. Don't do that now. Fish,
okay.
chicken, things like that.
Best Jewish deli?
Best Jewish deli. Well, I heard Taste. What was it? Where we are in Syracuse? It's near
Yes,
me.
yes.
Taste of, what is it? Taste of Broadway? I can't remember what it is.
Right.
But I haven't been there yet. But I hope that that will become my favorite deli. Katz's Delicatessen has a special place in my heart
Okay.
for the obvious reasons.
How many times have you been to Israel?
I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 times. I studied there for a year, my first, year of rabbinical school. And I've been there conventions every 7 years and a few times in between.
Okay. And favorite spot in Israel? Do you have a landmark or a city?
Yeah. Jerusalem on Shabbat, when the city settles down and everybody's at rest. Tzfat, I have very fond memories in the north of Israel with that's where a lot of the mystical writings happened. And one can tell why when one is there. It's very sort of magical. And yeah, it was Jerusalem and Tzfat.
Best Jewish memory from your childhood?
Best Jewish memory from my childhood. Gee, that's a, my sisters and I, we always search for the Coleman through the years. And when I was, I guess, 17, in our home, if you found the Coleman, you got whatever you wanted. That was the rule, okay, for the Seder to go on. I think I was 17 or 18 when I found the Coleman. We were older, but we were the youngest in the place. I asked my dad for a Seiko watch for the date and time. And I'm wearing it right now. I just want you to know, there it is. The next year, the tradition changed. I don't know how it happened, but the person who found the Coleman just got a box of candy. And I think I sort of overshot with my request that year. But that's one of my favorite memories.
Okay. And your go-to local news channel here in Syracuse?
Oh, NBC local. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. It's NBC local from 5 to 6:30.
There we go.
That is my favorite.
Well, welcome to Syracuse. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is great. This is really good. And I hope that we can, do things that are very special in the future. You and I have talked about some really great ideas of special guests, learning about the temple, talking about its future, finding out what's happening. This is the time we have, right?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much. And that is the time we have with Rabbi Katz. Thanks, Rabbi Katz.
Yeah, take care. Take care, y'all. Be well.